Aquatic invasive species has been a big story here in northwestern Minnesota and frankly throughout the state of Minnesota and the Lakes country. In fact, because of the efforts of several local conservation groups and watershed districts right here in northwest Minnesota and Becker County, several new laws were passed this year as far as enforcement of aquatic invasive species, really giving more teeth to those laws. However, even those laws are not preventing the spread of aquatic invasive species throughout northwestern Minnesota, which could soon really threaten Becker County and the local lakes here, considering several lakes to the south of us have been infested with one of the most voracious of the aquatic invasive species, zebra mussels. 2 years ago, zebra mussels were first discovered in Pelican Lake. Pelican Lake considered a super spreader lake due to the large numbers of cabins on the lake and the large number of tourists that visit the lake every single year. Now, I've never heard anybody concretely show evidence as to how Pelican Lake got infested, although it most likely came from a boat and or dock and or boat lift that had been placed into the lake that already had zebra mussels on them. But since the discovery of zebra mussels in Pelican Lake 2 years ago, the zebra mussels have spread to Lake Lizzie, Crystal, Fish, Little Pelican, Prairie, and Bass Lakes, all in Otter Tail County. And now in late September, another lake in Otter Tail County was added to that list, that being Rose Lake near Vergas. Now, the Department of Natural Resources is stating that Rose Lake near Vergas became infected after somebody brought a boat lift from Lake Lizzie to Rose Lake and then placed it in the water. The DNR quickly, after discovering the fact that there were zebra mussels there, began an experimental process of treating that particular section of the lake infested with copper sulfate. Now, this technique has been used with some effectiveness before in other lakes near the Mississippi headwaters in similar situations, but this is really the first time it's being used in open water in an open lake area. In other situations, it's used more in narrow channels and so forth, and narrow waterways, maybe where there's a conduit or some kind of a culvert. That's where they've seen it effective. This is open water. Now, the DNR is doing weekly treatments at $14,000 per treatment, but it'll still be 2 or 3 years until we find out whether or not these treatments on Rose Lake will actually kill the zebra mussels there. In the meantime, signs are being posted on Rose Lake, and, well, at least for the next couple of years, we're going to have to consider this an infested water. Now, with Rose Lake being infested, that means several lakes downstream of this body of water will most likely show positive signs for zebra mussels in the next few years if those zebra mussels are in fact able to reproduce in Rose Lake. Now, this could get all the way down to even another what you could consider a super spreader lake like Otter Tail County, like Otter Tail Lake in Otter Tail County. Now, what can we do about this? Well, the DNR obviously is up against an enemy that it cannot combat. This is too big of a problem for one agency to deal with. It's going to be up to local anglers, up to local fishermen, up to local boat and recreational users to help stop the spread of zebra mussels in our area and to also help the spread of other aquatic invasive species. Now, there are 10 decontamination units, but there's only 10 of them for the entire state. And the land of 10,000 lakes, you do the math, you can realize that's not very many, not going to cover a lot of spaces. So what can we do then locally here to stop the spread of zebra mussels and aquatic invasive species in our own lakes? Well, I think it's time, even though it's going to be expensive, that our local watershed districts need to step up and be able to defend their own bodies of water. Now, that creates a whole problem of issues with public access is having private citizens with lake associations with decontamination units. But some way this needs to get done. I don't see any other way we can save our own lakes.